Indiana Herod. I'm just saying, if people want to start the fight with me, they're more than welcome to. But I come for it if you want it. That's it. Sorry, I didn't mean to like just jump in with that, guys. Tony Katz, the show is Tony Katz today. Got myself an Oliver V. Melanio right there. We'll get that going. A lot to get to. President Trump on his way back from the Asia trip. The Fed rate cut, Dr. Matt Will spoke with him, the economist from the University of Indianapolis, about that. I will bring that to you. The shutdown is on day 900 billion, and the only way out is through it, seemingly, for the Democrats. So with that, let the show begin, producer Landon. Let's do some good work.
But overall, I guess on the scale of from 0 to 10, with 10 being the best, I would say the meeting was a 12. Okay, I think it was a 12. I think very importantly, just the whole relationship is very, very important. And I think it was really good.
Well, especially coming on the heels of the successful trip. We're in Malaysia. You signed a peace deal for Cambodia and Thailand. Critical mineral deals with all our allies.
So many successful meetings.
Right?
And so many meetings great for our country, with literally hundreds of billions, trillions of dollars have come into our country over the last 4 days, represented by this meeting. But trillions of dollars, where Toyota is going to build plants, $10 billion worth of plants. And, I could go over so many different companies coming in. They're pouring money into the United States.
You can say with clarity that this trip has been successful, even if every deal doesn't come through. That was President Trump on Air Force One. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. I am in Studio Force One. That is not the name of the studio, but you can name the studio. Sponsorship's now available. Honestly, if Trump thought he could get Air Force One sponsored, don't you worry. Don't you worry. We don't know about the deals until the deals start bringing in dollars. And I think it's okay to say that. It is weird to say President Trump has sold us out. That was that was Chuck Schumer's response. Did you see that? I don't know where I put the tweet, but he's cursing. He's like, don't believe that S. Trump sold us out to China. What happened that would make someone say that? And the answer is, well, hate is what hate is what hate is. And since they hate more than they have any level of rational thought, this is what you get. You get commentary like this from Chuck Schumer.
Ordering his own Department of Agriculture to rip its own contingency plan. The money's there, over $6 billion in emergency funds that could keep SNAP going, and Trump has said, don't spend a dime. We want to use hungry people as hostages in this crisis. Trump is a vindictive politician and a heartless man.
Says the Democratic Party that impeached twice and engaged 4 different investigations over nothing. The shutdown is a disaster for Chuck Schumer. One can understand his level of lashing out. But one can also see how that kind of talk, while maybe valuable on the Senate floor for something he does as a fundraising piece, doesn't actually move the needle. Not in the slightest. The trip to Asia tells a story. And the story is, look what I can do. And you say to me, okay, you're a president who took a trip to Asia. Yeah, And look what I came back with. And now let's compare that to Joe Biden. Now, for the record, I don't think Joe Biden was running the country. I do believe there was a cabal running the country. I believe the auto pen deal is an absolutely big deal. It's a massive story. I believe that there need to be investigations, and I believe people need to go to jail. I'm sick and tired of people not going to jail. If I don't pay my property taxes, I go to jail or they take my house. These people quite literally screw the country with its pants on, flat out lie about running the country, are engaged in a cabal, and somehow they don't go to jail, but they do get spots on CNN where they get paid in cash. All right, maybe it's a check, but you get my point. And I, like you, am absolutely exhausted by this. Trump went to Asia and got more than a lousy t-shirt. He created opportunity. Now, it is possible, if not especially when talking about Xi Jinping, probable that nothing will come of it. Because trusting the communist Chinese is, there's a word I'm looking for, dopey. If you trust the Chinese, you're out of your mind. If you trust the Communist Chinese Party, you're nuts. And you can also argue that after, Trump saying this is, the meeting was a 12 on a scale of 1 to 10, you still have American businesses that are like, well, that's great. What am I supposed to do about right now? What am I supposed to do about all the product that I can't get? What am I supposed to do about the rising cost of products that I need to then make my product? And now you're yelling at me if I try and pass that cost on. What do I do? Even the lowering of the tariffs, you still have a massive tariff, which is a massive tax on it. And they have every right to be bothered and concerned. But I share right now the recognition that Trump did a good job. He did a good job. Opportunities with Malaysia, opportunities with South Korea, an actual dollar amount pledged by South Korea of $350 billion. Opportunities with China, who is the enemy, but you still have to work with them. Why shouldn't we note that this was good? Why shouldn't we note that this is at least okay? Let's see where it goes from here. Hey, nice job with the setup. Let's hope it delivers. Now, if it doesn't deliver, we can discuss that. I go back to this line that comes from the vice president, J.D. Vance, who I don't agree with on everything. But he said the other day, this was when he was in Israel regarding the peace deal. Why in the world are so many people on the political left rooting for failure? Well, I could also argue there are people who claim to be on the political right, the Bill Kristols of the world, rooting for political failure. What's the win here? If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and you're allowed to say it didn't work. I think you can say that quite clearly. If there's a bad idea, you're allowed to say, I think it's a bad idea. I think adding the tariff on Canada of 10% because of a video is a bad idea. And Republicans, 4 Republicans, right? Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins and Rand Paul and Mitch McConnell have been like, nope, they're pushing back on that. Okay. I don't know if it's going to change anything or not that they do, but I can appreciate the concept. I don't want tariffs as retribution. I want them as a tactic to get the trade deal. I certainly don't want them as policy, as we know. But the point of the argument is there are places where you can be like, I disagree. A guy comes back with, here's what we've got. Here's the opportunity here. Here's the opportunity there. Shouldn't we be engaged in saying, okay, now how do we turn that opportunity into fruition? Like, bring that opportunity to fruition. There we go. That's the proper use of the language, Tony. Why wouldn't we? Democrats won't benefit. I'm not talking about the progressive leftists who are in Congress. I'm talking about a Democrat out there who runs a business, because there are Democrats out there who run businesses and may want to see the trade deal with China or with South Korea or with Malaysia get better so they can get a better opportunity for their imports. Why wouldn't they want to see success? And do you think they should be proud of a party that only wants to undermine? What was the story there? It was a CNBC story where Democrats were Trump's heading to China, and Democrats are screaming about the fact that Trump is failing against Xi Jinping. Trump folds against Xi, right? It goes along with that ridiculous post from Chuck Schumer. It's just this. How can we go about undermining? How can we go about the attack? Always the attack. A trade deal with South Korea and Malaysia is good for us. Now, of course, it depends on the devils of the details of the deal. But it was, as a baseline conversation, investment to the United States is good for us. Why can't we say so? Why can't I be supportive? You be supportive. We be supportive of, okay, let's turn this into a trade deal that matters, and then let's get rid of the tariffs. I can do two things at the same time. I can walk and chew gum. I am a man of skill, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not just a great radio host with great hair. Oh, no, walk and chew gum, and so can you. Democrats won't allow such a thing. We can disagree with the terms of a deal without saying that, oh my gosh, let's undermine him as he's getting ready to engage the deal. Let's just call the whole thing garbage because we can't allow Trump any level of victory. The victory isn't his. If the deal is worthwhile, the victory is ours, and very possibly, Democrats, your supporters and voters. And you can't even get behind that. That is stunning. And I think that needs to be a real takeaway from what we have seen here. I could find, and I will go through it. Right? Somebody just posted in the chat room, Trump goes to China, so Democrats boycott General Cho's. Right? That is very, very much the kind of people that they are. We can go through these deals and say, and question that and question this. But there's no doubt that this went better for Trump than maybe even Trump thought. You sign a peace deal with Cambodia and Thailand, and that's a problem. That's worth dismissing. One of the greatest lines President Trump has ever used was this year when he was at the UN. I think his greatest speeches have come at the UN. And he is not a great speech giver. He's not. But here I am trying to make peace with this one, make peace with that one, get this deal done, get that peace deal done. Where the hell are you guys? You don't even call and be like, hey, you need any help? Can I bring you a bottle of water? Nothing. You guys don't do nothing. What's the point? And he's right. He's 1,000% right. It's so right. It's so on the nose. It is frightening. Trying to bring some peace over here, trying to get some cash over here. Well, good. Now let's take a look at the deal and let's go through some of the details. We might disagree on some things, but at least, all right, you brought something back. That's something to work on. Biden can't do that. Biden didn't do that. Biden couldn't do that. And I put forth to you, there isn't a Democrat that can do this. There is no Democrat that can do this. I would argue there are some Republicans who could do this, but there is no Democrat that could do this. There just isn't. There just isn't. Doesn't exist. And the more Democrats try to just dismiss Trump on this, the more relevant that is and the more apparent it is. Now, I think Republicans need to be more focused on sharing that story and selling that story. Democrats cannot sell America's future. They can only sell out America's future. I swear to you, if I don't start getting paid as a consultant, I don't even know what's going on here. I don't. Democrats cannot sell America's future. which is to say, sell the story and build it. They can only sell out America's future. That's it. And they're proving it. You're supposed to say, really hope it was successful. We're going to deal with President Trump on this shutdown, all these other things. But good trade deals are important to our constituents because they are. Democrats can't say that. They only can try and defecate all over it. That has to be told. That has to be seen and has to be understood. That's a level of hatred that is, well, I think just the beginning for these people. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Welcome back. Tony Katz Today. Good to be with you. I just realized I engaged a major error, and I don't know if I'm going to screw this up or not. Oh, I didn't. Look at me. Wait, I still might. Still might screw it all up. Not today, Satan. I think I got that right. Let's see. So I have the worst headline of the day coming up. That much for sure. Tell your friends we are here, if you would. Like to get everybody being a part of what we're doing here every single day. Let me see if I can get this uploaded. Maybe too big. Hold on, the present video. Okay. Ooh, I figured this out. Look at me. Look at me. I'm very fancy. So the Fed, they cut that's my conversation with Dr. Matt Rule. We'll be playing that later. Quarter point. We will play that in a little bit. So I didn't know how that worked, but now I do. This again, why I need a director. Do you want to be the director of Tony Katz Today? Email me, Tony@TonyKatz.com. Send your CV. The job could be yours. This is how I'm doing it. This is how shouldn't I go to like some website, but no, I'm doing it this way. I'm a simple man like that. Very, very good. There it is. All right. Anyway, glad you're here. Thank you. Sometimes there are good stories. Sometimes there are bad stories. Sometimes there are horror stories. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. And sometimes there's this.
Your car's seatbelt, safety miracle, or decapitation nightmare?
What is the connection between rain and farming? The answer may surprise you.
Heroin, sex, machine guns, flamethrowers, murder. There's no story here. We've just found that ratings go up when we say those words.
It's time for the worst headline of the day.
Truck hauling COVID herpes-infected monkeys overturns. Can't make that up. Don't have the capacity to make that up. The story goes as through Zero Hedge from the Epoch Times. An aggressive monkey infected with COVID-19 and other diseases on the loose in Jasper County, Mississippi. A semi-truck carrying primates, 21 of them, overturned. They were being transported from Tulane to an out-of-state testing facility. All 20 of the other infected rhesus monkeys were destroyed after the accident. Oh, the story gets uglier by the second, doesn't it? But there's still a monkey on the run. And they've been in contact with an animal disposal company to help handle the situation. The monkey weighs about 40 pounds, carries hepatitis C, herpes, and COVID, but wait, are non-infectious. Okay. Whatever you say, health authorities. Same people who told me I have to stand 6 feet away from people and wear a mask and grandma has to die alone. Sure, not infectious. Gotcha. But the Sheriff's Department did warn that, quote, they do pose potential health threats and are aggressive. There have been stories in the past about these people who they've got like a pet chimpanzee or something like that, and a pet orangutan, and I'm not trying to. I don't know which one it was. Right, I'm not an expert on these things. And the next thing you know, we'll call it monkey for the all-purpose category, mauled the owner and ripped the face right off, and you're like, what? And the horror story. It is just to think of that. I as a matter of principle, if I was an actor, which I think I could do a good job. I do believe myself in that way. I think I'd be a better producer, but I think I could be a good actor. If I was somebody who was doing late night talk, which still could come, I would never have animals as part of the show. Nope. You want me to be next to the tiger? Not happening. You want me to like hold some food in my mouth while the bird of prey comes at me? No, not doing that. The monkeys, are you again utilizing the catchphrase all purpose? Nope. Not going to happen. Not in the slightest. No way. Herpes and what was the other one? What else was it carrying? Herpes and hepatitis C? No. I wouldn't allow Madonna on my show either. Absolutely not. That is just beyond the pale. A boy's got to have a standard, dang it. Crazy story. The Fed cut rates by a quarter point. I'll get in to that. I don't know why the NFL thinks that this is somehow a saving grace move. No one's going to care. Shutdown costs? How about $14 billion? Oh, and Maryland is going to redistrict because it's so wrong or something. Keep it here. This is Tony Katz today. Let me tell you, the Madonna joke wasn't easy. I had to go through a Rolodex of people. Right? So producer Landon's telling me about a story about a movie coming out about a family that has a pet chimp and it gets rabies and attacks the family. Listen, that's too close to reality. You need a horror show where the chimpanzee gets hit by nuclear waste, and you need Hulk Chimp. Hulk Chimp versus Cocaine Bear versus Sharknado versus King Kong versus Godzilla. Right? This is all very, very good. Ooh, good question. Tony, are you wearing costumes on tomorrow's show? And the answer is no, because I'm a grown man. All right. I am not. No, you're not, producer Landon. I am not going to Katie Porter this thing. That's a good question. You know what? That's a good Twitter question. Has anybody seen Katie Porter's costume for tomorrow? No, she dressed up as Batgirl. Maybe she might have done a worm. I don't know. No, that's Heidi Klum. Yeah, Heidi Klum is the model that does the costumes. Katie Porter is the former member of Congress who dumped boiling hot mashed potatoes on her ex-husband's head. There's a difference. Oh, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Hold on, guys. All right. I will not be going as Elmer T. Lee, although bless his bourbon heart. I do have a bottle of Elmer T. Lee. So, with Eat, Drink, Smoke, we have done some live events. And when we do them with Eat, Drink, Smoke, eatdrinksmokeshow.com, we take a rare bottle, we pour it for everybody. Like we sell like 50 tickets, or we actually give away 50 tickets, and everybody gets a pour, everybody gets a taste. It's part of the thing we do. I have a bottle of Elmer T. Lee I've had for like 3 years. I've got a 2021 or a 2022 Old Forester birthday bourbon. I have got some Willet bottles. I don't believe in saving them. I'm not trying to create a collection. So we have to schedule some events, and then whoop, everybody gets a pour. So I do have a bottle of Elmer T. Lee. That does need to get out there. Let's get back to the show. Just a reminder that Halloween is tomorrow. And some people, not that bright, they like to dress like a creepy clown. Tony Katz today. I oppose this in every way, shape, or form. The people who dress like creepy clowns and they try and intimidate and scare people, they should expect bad things to happen to them. It's like the people who block traffic. When they get hurt, why are you looking at me? I didn't do this. You did this. You were the one who was playing the part of the fool. You're the one who decided that you were going to stand there at the end of the road and run after people and do all these things. What do you get? Don't be a dope. Don't be a fool. So we have a couple of public service announcements for people who are thinking of dressing up like a creepy clown this Halloween.
And now, a public service announcement for anyone who's thinking of dressing like a creepy clown this Halloween.
I know where you live and I've seen where you sleep. I swear to everything holy that your mothers will cry when they see what I've done to you.
This has been a public service announcement for anyone thinking of dressing like a creepy clown this Halloween.
That's right. That is helpful right there. Very important. Very good. Now, in case people didn't get the message, here, just one more. We want to help people. Here at Tony Katz today, all we want to do is help. We are givers. We give advice. We care. We are givers and we are carers. That's what we do. So just another PSA for anybody thinking of dressing like a creepy clown.
And now, a public service announcement for anyone who's thinking of dressing like a creepy clown this Halloween.
You hear me talking, hillbilly boy? I ain't through with you by damn sight. I'm gonna get medieval on your ass.
This has been a public service announcement for anyone thinking of dressing like a creepy clown this Halloween.
I just want to say for the record, Marcellus Wallace was pretty upset with what happened to him in Pulp Fiction. And that could happen to you if you dress up like a creepy clown. Don't do it. Don't do it. Whatever you do not do it. Also, this just in, it seems that Marjorie Taylor Greene is going to show up as a guest on The View next week. Look at Marjorie Taylor Greene. Good for her. I'm still waiting for The View to have a conservative on the show. Good gosh. Why are they having Marjorie Taylor Greene on? Well, it's very, very simple. You're anti-Israel. You get to be on. You're you disagree with President Trump. You get to be on. And of course, a good opportunity for headlines. No, I don't take Marjorie Taylor Greene seriously. As I said from the very, very beginning, Marjorie Taylor Greene is going to vote the way I like on a number of subjects. But don't ask me to sit there and be supportive of Space Laser Girl. That's not happening. I think the people there of Georgia should vote better. But I feel that about a bunch of people in a bunch of ways, in a bunch of places. They should vote better. They need to vote better. This brings us to the NFL. The NFL did something very, very weird. They made an announcement. Now, maybe it's just this is something they always do, but I guess it's the way maybe the headline was structured. The headline over there at Entertainment Weekly, NFL announces Sting will headline Super Bowl branded concert amid Bad Bunny controversy. And you're like, Sting is going to play the Super Bowl? No. Sting is not playing the Super Bowl. Sting is playing a concert in San Francisco a couple of days before the Super Bowl where Bad Bunny is the halftime act. And you have people who are going to be competing with that halftime act. You've always had the Puppy Bowl, for example. And then Turning Point USA is going to have their own halftime show. I am not going to have a halftime show. The Turning Point one can be serious. Now, there's been rumors that Adam Sandler is going to be a part of this. Rumors Kid Rock is going to be a part of this. I don't know what they're going to do. And one can bet their bottom dollar that their halftime show, they might run full counter programming to the entirety of the Super Bowl and run 3-4 hours. But it will start at halftime and it'll go well into the third quarter. 10,000% it will. And also, we should be clear that Turning Point will have an audience. TPUSA will have an audience, and it will be sizable. And the reason for it is that if you take a guy like Bad Bunny, this isn't somebody who is picked for the American audience. The NFL wants to be international. This is an international audience. He's an international star. And then you take his comments about ICE and F ICE and all this jazz. You're like, yeah, I don't want to be a part of him. I don't want him around. But the NFL didn't pick him because he was trying to engage an American audience. That's not the point. That's not the purpose. That's not the game that they are playing. So it brings us to what it is that Turning Point can do with this. And then there are other organizations that could, but Turning Point got the lead on this. We should be clear that Turning Point is still right there and has the opportunity to be very strong. I have no connection to Turning Point. None. There was, I think I shared this with you. There was some event that took place where I live, and shamefully, Turning Point had Tucker Carlson replacing the late Charlie Kirk at IU, Indiana University. I said that was flat out wrong. But they had a gathering like the day before and some donors and some others, and I was asked, hey, why weren't you there? I'm like, I wasn't invited. I'm not a part of it. I wouldn't belong to any group that would have someone like me as a member. I don't, unless I get invited, I'm not putting myself out there to be invited. Maybe that's my fault, by the way. But I am supportive of this idea of the halftime show counter programming. I think it's good. I think it's valuable. I think it's important to see. Maybe the NFL doesn't care, but I certainly do. And I would argue that as a matter of just being an observer, I think we should all care. How many people tune in? How many people drop from the halftime into the third quarter to watch what it is Turning Point puts together? And what are they going to put together? Are they going to put together a rock concert, or are they going to put together a revival? Revival question is real, and I don't say that in a disparaging way. The fact that I am not a believer is inconsequential to whether or not I have an issue, whether or not Christians are believers. And I have no issue in the main with Christian believers, because in the main, Christians aren't trying to kill me. Other believers are trying to kill me, and I have an issue with that. Yesterday, at one of their events where it was the tour that Charlie was on, instead of course, Charlie, it was the vice president. His name is J.D. Vance. You've seen pictures. And it was Erica Kirk. This was Erica Kirk yesterday.
And you are living in one of the most defining moments in American history. And we are all witnessing in real time the battle that is raging for the soul of your generation. Again, your generation. This is far more than political. And you will hear the world and the culture, for that matter, pressure you and say, go with the flow, don't ruffle feathers. Don't say that, you might offend someone. You might lose some friends if you wear a red hat, if you go to a Turning Point USA chapter event. But when I hear that, I need to be so blunt and honest with you now, because before, when I heard it, I said, okay. Now when I hear that, if you're worried about losing a friend, you might. I lost my friend. I lost my best friend. And if you're nervous about standing up for the truth, the assassination of my husband puts into perspective all those fears.
That connects. And there's this big conversation about whether or not Gen Z is becoming more religious. I think I hinted at this the other day, discussed it a little bit. And I still put forth to you that I don't know. I don't know if Gen Z is actually becoming more religious. You could show me a group of students on a college campus engaged in prayer. I don't know if that means a trend line that is continual. Time might tell on that. nor do I know if that is specific to a specific university set, or if that can be seen really nationwide. And I'm not saying no, I'm saying that I don't have enough data to know this true. I can tell you that people are attracted to strength. People are thrilled to hear they can have a point of view that's different and there's a place where they belong. They can have a point of view that's different and they can still belong. And what Turning Point through conversations like this can offer regarding Halftime Show can make a serious cultural impact.
It really does. Because my husband never went with the flow. He swam in the streams of significance. And Charlie knew so deeply to his core that comfort doesn't change the world. And you cannot influence the world when you look like it. The enemy of truth doesn't need to destroy a nation overnight. He just needs to convince people that truth no longer matters. And the enemy thrives when Christians don't speak up.
I think the enemy thrives when people who aren't Christians don't speak up too. I don't know if I wholly agree that you can't look like them, because you can. But we might have just a difference there in definition. But there's no doubt that they have an opportunity to engage a real cultural moment. And if done right, one has to wonder its effects. And I'm not quite sure the left, nor the NFL, well, I'm not quite sure they care. I'm not quite sure they're prepared. So what happens if the effect is more people interested in them than in football or in being afraid of progressive politics? I'm Tony Katz. Welcome back, Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. What is going on, everybody? The Oliver V. I'm having a little trouble. There it is. Right there. That is the Milano. Fine smoke. Perfect for the show. I am able to find these on sale. I will not say where. Sponsorship can make that happen. Good to be with you. Glad everybody is here. Don't forget to head on over to TonyKatz.com and subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it. If you would, very, very much. There's still a bunch to get to. I was almost expecting, I'm a little surprised there isn't a presser today. Surprised that's not happening. Oh, is this still going on? I will share some of this right here. It was Secretary Noem and Secretary Duffy in Indiana to discuss things going on with transportation. I don't know what brought them to Indiana, but they were here. Wow, terrible audio. It's too bad. I can't really share that. You can't really hear it. That is terrible. You got everybody there and you can't deliver it? That's a dang shame. Dang shame. But we will have other stories. What do you guys got? Let me check comments. Here as I'm just going over some things. Did I hear the interview with Tucker Carlson? And you mean anti-Semite Nick Fuentes? No, I didn't listen to it. The argument is not whether or not Tucker can have anybody on his show he chooses, nor do I believe that his show should be removed from anything online. Not at all. It's that I said of President Trump, who had lunch with Nick Fuentes, I'm willing to accept that Trump was not aware of everything Nick Fuentes was about. But some of his staff were, and those staffers should have been fired. There is no question that Tucker knows what he's all about. Why would you platform the dude? And so there is my issue. He can, and I'm allowed to say, that's exactly what I say. Exactly. Now, Tucker has left any place in my soul, in my heart, for sure. Let's get to the show.
Is in the Senate because they have to approve any kind of bill given the House passed this clean CR. And so we're hearing from Majority Leader John Thune that there are some bipartisan conversations ticking up, he says, significantly. He thinks there's a possibility now that there's enough moderate Democrat interest to change the situation. Let's listen.
I think the leadership is, their leadership at least, I think is kind of out of the equation. I mean, they just don't have any room to maneuver. And but there are a lot of rank and file members that continue to, I think, want to pursue solutions and to be able to address the issues they care about.
So that's the Senate Majority Leader, John Thune, talking about the shutdown and saying, listen, the leadership refuses to do anything. Members realize that this is nuts, and I think they can come across and vote for the continuing resolution, and we can get on with our lives. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. This is MSNBC, and here is the anchor. She's asking one of the members of Congress, Democrat, what he thinks.
Is that your sense that perhaps more Democrats are now ready to vote with Republicans on that clean CR to open the government?
Look, I don't believe that there's a scenario where Democrats are going to cave and allow healthcare costs to skyrocket, nor should we take that position. I don't think people in the Republican Party understand that right now people cannot afford their health insurance to double. They can't afford their grocery prices to continue to skyrocket. And so I think what Leader Thune is trying to do is create division with us. We are united.
First, that's Representative Garcia of California. Secondly, you have egg prices that are down. You have gasoline prices that are down. Certainly, you have meat prices that are too high and some other food prices that are too high. But Obamacare subsidies, first of all, why do you need subsidies? You have Obamacare. Secondly, you're the party that agreed in the Inflation Reduction Act to let these subsidies sunset in 2025. Why? Because you wanted a political issue. That's a lie from Representative Garcia. Flat out lying there on MSNBC, which is not shocking at all, but that's what he's doing. We should not cave. That's the belief that Republicans will what? Get rid of the filibuster and vote for this, so you now don't have the filibuster, you can get control and then do anything you want? That's some ugly rank politics while people aren't able to feed their kids. Isn't that the line you use? By the way, this is all just tilting at windmills. Democrats are losing this fight. This is Tony Katz today. They are losing this fight. They're losing it in every single way. So here's what we've got. Here's what we've got going on. We have, now I want to make sure, do I understand how this works? Everyone said, hooray. That's it. I know, you're like, Tony, was that you? Yes, that was me. That's my interview with Dr. Matt Will. We'll play that in a little bit. I've been trying to figure out how I can, because sometimes because of timing, you would pre-record an interview. It makes perfect sense. But I'm sometimes not able to bring them to the live stream. I'm like, I want to be able to do this. So I was doing the testing and making sure I've got it right. I want to be able to bring them here and have it part of the whole thing. So that's where we're at. And again, I'm going to say this. I wasn't kidding. I'm looking for a director. I'm looking for somebody. I'm paying. It's time to build, boo-boo. We got work to do. Right now, we're going to take the break, right? So here's what's going on. The radio show is in break. You guys know we're doing a radio show with this, right? Oh, we're doing a radio show, and we're going to be adding some stations. I'm very excited about one in particular. I'll make that announcement coming soon. So we've got a lot coming up. So with that, hang loose, smoke them if you got them. We're going to take the commercial break, and then we'll be back, and we've got more radio to do. Got more good stuff to have happen. Tell your friends, get them in here. Let's go to work. Stay right here, guys. Be right back. Welcome back. Tony Katz today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. I hope that wasn't too trippy. How much do I have to pay to be the director? Now we're getting into it. Turn the Turn the director job into one where I get paid. That's not a bad idea at all. All right, let me just get some things together right here, if we don't mind. Just make sure there's nothing new happening there. Thank you. Coming back to the show, guys. Here we go. This weirdness amongst the political left that when they do it, it's fine, but when you do it, it's a sin. This has been a standard for the progressive left for a good long time. We've seen this, for example, in the concept of culture wars. When they say something like, for example, we're going to do away with gas stoves. And then people said, but we like gas stoves. Wait a second. And then the left said, what are you talking about with gas stoves? We never said we were going to do away with gas stoves. Why are you so obsessed with us? Why are you always about the culture wars? And then they went about maneuvers to get rid of gas stoves and gas hot water heaters and a host of things. And gladly, a lot of that has been thwarted. Tony Katz today. Great to be with you. Find everything over at TonyKatz.com. You should head over there right now, immediately, if not sooner. And so this concept, this philosophy happens a lot. It's always been fascinating. When you do it, it's a sin. When they do it, why are you looking at them? It's not totally like Mel Brooks when he said, the difference between comedy and tragedy. Tragedy is when I cut my little finger. Comedy is when you fall into an open sewer and die. It isn't that, but it's this idea that when I do it, it's fine, but when you do it, it's a sin. When you do it, it's a sin. When I do it, why are you always staring at me? When you do it, it's about you. When I do it, it's also about you. This brings us to the story. You've seen a lot of people talking about it today, where there's this Illinois Democrat. There's always an Illinois Democrat. At every moment, in every place, there is always an Illinois Democrat.
I hate Illinois Nazis.
And the Illinois Democrat in this case, her name is, I'm going to get her last name wrong. Kat Abugazela? Am I pronouncing that right, Producer Landon? Do you even know who this is? 26-year-old self-styled Gen Z influencer. Okay. Now I'm going to put this out there. This whole influencer thing is out of control ridiculous. It's nuts. And some people, when I have this conversation, say, Tony, who are you talking to? You're an influencer. No. This gig right here, radio, is a far different cry. It's a far different thing. The idea that someone could have influence, lots of things could have influence, but somebody goes out there to be an influencer isn't subject to the same basic standards that someone like myself is, never mind having to deal with the FCC. How about the idea that the influencer is never really concerned about, well, here's how a situation develops and here's my take on it, is only interested in whatever it is they can push. There's no standard at all. And if you say to me, Tony, I think that's a distinction without a difference, I certainly don't. And I see influencers on the left and I see influencers on the right, and the whole thing is just ridiculous. I have never considered myself in that vein. This woman, Kat, she has been charged in a federal indictment sought by the Department of Justice. She says it's an attack on her First Amendment rights. Now, I'm staring at the video right here. I am just kind of afraid to play any audio from it because when you do it with these people, who knows what it is that they're going to say. But in this video, ICE is trying to move a vehicle, and there she is standing in front of the vehicle, stopping it from traveling. Now, by the way, there's a lot of people with her, maybe a couple hundred, maybe it's only 100, trying to get in front of the vehicle. Or they're in the front of the vehicle, and there she is, as clear as day, trying to stop this vehicle from moving. That's what she's doing. So she is impeding law enforcement. She is preventing ICE from being able to move. So this was in Chicago. She joined a mob swarming a law enforcement vehicle, blocking it with their bodies before someone etched the word pig into the vehicle. Others ripped off a mirror and windshield wiper. That's reporting from Fox News. And that is this woman, Abugazaleh, Abughazaleh. Abugazaleh? I'm not 100% sure how it's pronounced. I've never heard it pronounced. She joined the crowd, and this is the quote, at the front of the government vehicle, and with her hands on the hood, braced her body and hands against the vehicle while remaining directly in the path of the vehicle, hindering and impeding Agent A in the vehicle from proceeding to the staging area. That's what part of the indictment is. She thinks this is an attack on her First Amendment rights. How is blocking traffic a First Amendment right? I'm asking. I'd like an answer. How is it possible that blocking traffic and creating a dangerous situation by doing so, engaging in acts of violence or working with a crowd engaging in acts of violence against the vehicle and the people meant to intimidate the people in it, ripping off, for example, the side mirrors? How is that a conversation about free speech? As a matter of fact, it would be anything but. Being opposed to ICE, you can engage speech about that. Impeding law enforcement, you go to jail for that. What possible argument could you have here? The answer is you have none. But having an argument is not her interest. Moving an ideology, being a trafficker ideology is her interest. Builds herself as a radical progressive Democrat. No. Do you really? I, for one, am shocked. Her platform includes a wealth tax on rich Americans, a $25 minimum wage, and an immediate pathway to citizenship for dreamers and other undocumented immigrants. Her hobbies include knitting, playing video games, and destroying America. And she is imposed. She did an interview with Jen Psaki where she thinks Kristi Noem, Secretary of Homeland Security, should be tried at The Hague. So first things first, these people don't believe in America like we believe in America. She is running for the 9th Congressional District of Illinois. Jan Schakowsky is retiring. Jan Schakowsky is 81. This is what we as a nation are up against. Why should she not be able to block traffic? Why should she not be able to participate with a mob in intimidating law enforcement? That's fine. Well, why is it fine? Because what law enforcement is doing is bad, which is really the argument of all those January 6ers. Right? You have people shooting at ICE agents. That's being violent. That was the argument about January 6ers being violent. What's the difference in their argument? Well, I think what they're doing is bad. That's the same argument. I'll let them figure that one out. By the way, I said of January 6ers many, many times, if you were kept from due process as an American citizen, you're immediately released. It's over. It's done. There are some people who committed acts of violence. They have to deal with the consequences of that. People who were invited into the Capitol did nothing wrong, and they never should have had a problem brought their way. It was obscene what the J6 committee and others did to these people. You're blocking traffic, you're trying to intimidate law enforcement, you go to jail. And what they say is, look what Republicans, look what the right, look at what those people did over there. Why are you looking at me? Why are you always looking at me? Why are you so obsessed with me? I think that we should never be afraid to notice and to say so. Oh, do I have a concern about her winning? Sure. I think everybody should. You know, this is the Mamdani conversation. The Zoran Mamdani conversation in New York is not that you or I give a good holy you-know-what about what happens in New York. It's that it can come here to where you live in the Midwest. It can come to Tulsa, Oklahoma. It can come to Fort Wayne, Indiana. It can come to St. Louis, Missouri. It can come to Baton Rouge, Louisiana. It can come to where I am at. It can come to Charlotte, North Carolina. And I know not all those places were the Midwest, but I consider them brethren. It spreads. And if we are not noticing, and if we are cowed by the idea that they say, why are you looking at me? They get to move about unchallenged. We need to challenge. I just think we need to challenge in a very, very smart way. I think we need to challenge in a more certainly uplifting way. I do not believe the answer to the people who believe in no borders is the idea of no immigration. I think that's a mistake. I think our argument should be for A, legal immigration, and then B, legal immigration of people who actually want to be Americans. We don't allow single able-bodied men from China to enter the United States. We just don't do it. We don't allow single able-bodied men from Muslim nations. We don't do it. Tony, that's bigoted. Whoa, 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 and whoa. With all due respect, Islam needs a reformation. And we need to be absolutely aware of what is the Islamist threat around the globe. We have to pay attention to it. They're saying, how dare you? And what I'm saying is we must dare. There's a real problem. Whether we're talking about in Gaza or whether we're talking about in Africa with Boko Haram, there's an issue. We're going to pretend that there's not? How foolhardy. So, Tony, you mean only white people can enter the United States? I never said such a thing, and I don't even believe that. We have a lot of people from Central and Southern America who I think would make great Americans. We have a lot of people from African nations, not just Afrikaners in South Africa, who would make great Americans. Although we should be clear that Afrikaners are being attacked for being white. Well, Tony, it was apartheid. What do you expect? I expect that the people who are running Johannesburg don't want to kill the Boer. That's what I expect. I mean, if we're asking what I actually think in this world, I don't think you should say, well, now that apartheid is over, kill all the white people. I don't think people should be reminiscing about Garrett Morris singing, I'm going to get me a shotgun and kill all the whiteys I see, and say, you know what? That makes good policy. That's old school Saturday Night Live, people. You might want to take a look at that. That's a funny moment. We're not going to notice? We should need to notice. There are people who want to be Americans, and then there are people opposed to the American way of life. And the people opposed to the American way of life have no place here. You're not welcome. And absolutely, one of the things the administration has done that I wholeheartedly agree with is that the people who come into the country from other countries and then protest against the country, you got to go. Free speech is not yours because you are not engaged in free speech. You are engaged in the usurpation as somebody who is not an American citizen. I got enough crap I got to deal with American citizens too dumb to know their own name or tie their own shoes, think they can block traffic, block law enforcement from doing their job, and then say, how dare you question me when someone says, yeah, that's against the law. I think it's okay that we have a standard. I think it's okay if our standard is exacting. And I think, give us your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. The poem, The New Colossus, which is at the bottom there, the foot of the Statue of Liberty. I don't think that precludes the idea of us saying, oh, you actually have to want to be here and not want to destroy here. Because I got enough people already in the United States who want to destroy, and I don't need any more. And we're allowed to say, no, thank you. And we should. We should notice. We should say so. But you do this, and you don't think you should be charged? I hope you go to jail. Because the rest of us would go to jail. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. Welcome back, Tony Katz. Tony Katz Today. I was going to get into another subject, but this thing from Billie Eilish, the ignorance of this argument that the left makes about billionaires, the danger in Billie Eilish's words, Billie Eilish, the singer, I don't think she understands that she's dangerous at this moment. What she has said here is horrifying. I will get into it. But we will get to it. Dr. Matt Will coming up. We'll talk about the economy. January 24th. Oh, save the date. Save the date. It's going to be so good. Not good. Great. January 24th, 2026. Not good. Great. It's going to be fantastic. Meanwhile, coming back to the show. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Add Billie Eilish, the singer, to the list of people who are just engaged in nonsense. It's embarrassing. She's at some award thing. She's gotten an award, and she's got a message for the billionaires out there.
Love you all, but there's a few people in here that have a lot more money than me. And if you're a billionaire, why are you a billionaire? No hate, but yeah, give your money away, shorties. Love you guys. Thank you so much.
I mean, do I just call you a child, or do I call you stupid? Do I say, what don't you understand? Do I say, how do you come to that place? Because I don't believe that you have thought it through at all. If the argument is, Billie Eilish, why are you a billionaire? What if the answer is, because my intellectual property has earned me $1 billion? What's the problem? Your intellectual property from all the songs that you've written there with Phineas will eventually get you $1 billion. Is it not yours? Now, if you choose to give it away, you can. It's your money. But you asked a different question. Why are there billionaires? Why are you billionaires? This is what you asked. Why are you a billionaire? What if the answer is because I earned it? What if the answer is because my daddy left it to me and screw you? I don't know what the answer could be, Billy, but there could be a lot of different answers here. And then you say to people, if you're a billionaire, no hate. No hate. Give your money away. What about millionaires? No, not somebody with only $33 million. Someone with $333 million. What about them? When you say billionaires, you mean the rich, don't you? When you say billionaires, Billie Eilish, have you ever asked if you are engaged in the conversation of Karl Marx about the proletariat and the bourgeoisie? Well, a conversation about the haves and the have-nots. As Barack Obama phrased it, the 99% and the 1%. It's the same exact conversation. Is this what you're supporting? Because if this is what you are supporting, Billie Eilish, then I want to discuss the very concepts of copyright. Why do you own your music? Billionaires have to give their money away. I want you to give your intellectual property away. I want you to give up your right to the music. And if we're going to talk about billionaires, what do you think about Taylor Swift working so hard to re-record her masters so she owns her music again? I mean, if you're going to come out with such bravery, Billie Eilish, I want you to come out with bravery, and I want to see how you handle the Swifties. Or is it possible, Billie, and I believe that this is the case, you never thought about it? You never once had a detailed conversation with anybody who wasn't a friend who said, oh, absolutely, oh, those billionaires, oh, they're terrible. Hey, can I borrow $10,000? I promise I'll pay you back this time. I got to assume that's happened to Billie more than once in her life. I got to assume that's happened to everybody who has money more than once in their life. Now, for other people, it happens on a lower scale. Hey, can you spot me for the pizza this time? I promise to pay you back, right? Same math. Same concept, different math. I don't believe, Billie, you've ever had this conversation with anybody of a thinking metal ever. You just feel that because all of your fans are going to say, yeah, therefore you're right. That doesn't make someone right. Fighting it out, debating it, engaging it, getting perspectives, getting thoughts, being able to sharpen your message, that That's good. You're not sharpening a message here. You're like, I'm going to win this award, and I'm going to be driven off in a limo, and I'm wearing a jacket that probably costs $750. $750, by the way, is the grand sum total of most people's entire wardrobe. I'm going to lecture, and people are going to say, oh, I'm so brave. It's not bravery. It's childlike pablum. It's insulting, rude, and gross. And when they're done with the billionaires, they'll come for the millionaires. You know that, right, Billy? You're coming for you next, then. I didn't even get to sign off. I didn't get to say I'm Tony Katz. We just hit the commercial break, but that's all right. That is all right. So my interview with Dr. Matt Will coming up. I literally just saw that video, and it's this kind of absolute gross. What kind of ignorance? What kind of ignorance is this all about? Hold on a second. What's it like to be so protected that that you can do that you can engage like that? Pretty incredible stuff, if you ask me. Pretty incredible indeed. Her net worth is $50 million. Yeah, so somebody on the Twitter X there. Her tickets cost between $200 and $659. There it is. Still absolutely positively amazing. And you know she's never had anybody question her. There's never been a question about that. Dark Rogue, thank you. Look at that. Let me tell you, I mean, we talk about everything. Okay, so you've got a producer, Landon. She's worth $50 million. I mean, if you've got kids, this is what you got to help them with. This kind of nonsense. The billionaire has too much money. Well, the billionaire has too much money to the millionaire, and the millionaire has too much money to the 300,000-aire, and the 300,000-aire has too much money to the 72,000-aire, and the 72,000-aire has too much money to the 27,000-aire. There's nothing that Billie Eilish said that isn't directly out of Karl Marx. The problem is she absolutely doesn't know this. She 10,000% does not know this. Right? And yes, Dark Rogue, that is the paraphrase of Margaret Thatcher. The problem with socialism is that's fine until you eventually run out of other people's money. That's 1,000% it. Dr. Matt Will up next. I am going to do my best to share this properly. We'll see how well I do. See, this is why you need what? Director. It's clearly coming. We're growing this thing. Got to grow it right. Got to grow it right. And it's weird because I don't actually believe that the future of content is live streaming. If I'm going to do it, I want to do it proper. But I don't actually believe that's the case. I know I'm in a interesting minority, but I guess my approach is a little bit different too. But neither here nor there. Dr. Matt Will, economist at the University of Indianapolis, coming right up, talking about the Fed rate cut that took place. So the Fed, they cut the rate by a quarter point. And everyone said, hooray. Well, most everybody said hooray, because when you take a look at the vote count there of these Federal Reserve officers, one person said it should be a half point. Another person said don't cut it in the slightest. But it seems clear to me that Jerome Powell is, well, here you go, market. Here's exactly what you wanted. Here are the lower rates you dreamed of. But is this good for us? Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. We've got Dr. Matt Will joining us, economist at the University of Indianapolis. Now, there's a host of things to cover on this rate cut. This happening as President Trump is taking this tour in Asia, which I would argue has been a successful tour, not only on a diplomacy side, but on a deal side, at least a framework side, right? Until we have a deal that actually brings dollars in, there's nothing. But South Korea is saying they're going to put in $350 billion, further the relationship with Japan to try and thwart the hegemonic desires of China. And then the meeting with Xi Jinping, which took place in South Korea. So before we get to the rate cut, talk to me about how this trip and these conversations coming out of this Asia trip are seen by financial economists like yourself.
We see it as fantastic because the uncertainty is being removed. The biggest problem that we've had with the tariffs is, well, the second biggest. The biggest is their tariffs. They stink. But the second biggest problem has been the uncertainty. And the Wall Street hates uncertainty. Business hates uncertainty. They want to know what to do. You can't plan for the future until you know what's going to happen. And so the fact that these frameworks are in place and deals are getting cut, even though they may not be good deals for the consumer or for businesses, the deals are cut and everybody likes it. And what I got to tell you, Trump actually, he pulled one off on this, because I was hearing this morning, read some information about the fact that China now wants to participate in the new LNG process pipeline from Alaska. They want to invest in a pipeline that's going to feed LNG to Japan and South Korea. This is a win, no matter how you slice it, for Trump going out to the east.
Now, I have to tell you, I don't favor at all, in any way, shape, or form, allowing China to have any energy from the United States. I think that is a opportunity for massive failure. I've also disagreed with President Trump when it's a conversation of allowing Chinese nationals to come into the country to be students, the student visa conversation. But we'll get to those things later. You see this trip as a success. In the middle of this trip comes Jerome Powell and comes the rate cut of a quarter point. Was this the right move?
No, it was the wrong move. Well, unless it was combined with a reducing of the balance sheet. The headline, Tony, is rate cut, quarter point. That's the rate. That's the headline. But there's three things that happened here. And I think all three of them are bad. One was the rate cut. By itself, that's not a good thing. The second thing they did is they decided to stop reducing the balance sheet. As of December 1st, they will officially reverse quantitative tightening and go back to what they call neutral, but I believe is more quantitative easing. If you're not reducing the balance sheet, that's a bad thing. That will pump cash into the economy. And the third thing they announced is they're going to replace long-term investments on the Fed balance sheet with short-term investments on the Fed balance sheet. That's also a bad thing, because that's going to drive up bond prices and it's going to pump cash into the economy by reducing short-term rates again.
Hold on. I want to make sure I understood, because when I first heard the story, I thought you were going to be excited that, look, they're removing things from the balance sheet. That's how I heard the story. They're removing things from the balance sheet, and this is incredibly important. You're saying, no. They're not removing, they're replacing.
They're doing two things. They're stopping the reduction of the balance sheet. They actually took a vote, and as of December 1st, they will discontinue reducing their balance sheet. And we've talked about the quantitative easing that was a disaster that caused the inflation. Quantitative tightening, which is reducing their balance sheet holdings, is supposed to reverse that. They voted to discontinue that. That was an official announcement made yesterday. And then they decide to go from short-term, long-term investments on their balance sheet to short-term. That's high risk. That's going to increase cash into the economy. All three things will fuel inflation. They have given up on fighting inflation. That's clear, and they're shifting now to this dual mandate of creating jobs. And I don't think that's their job. I don't think they're even capable of doing it, but that's what they're focusing on. And they're going to kill us with inflation.
Talking to Dr. Matt Will, economist at the University of Indianapolis. Yeah, the inflation thing has not gone away. We could talk about tariffs all we want, and I've got a whole thought on this. Increasing the tariffs on Canada because they put out a stupid video. You can't. Tariffs are not retribution for not liking my outfit, right? It's not the way I think we should be going about things. But the inflation conversation is whether or not this has gone away. And I'm not angry at President Trump for not having inflation taken care of. There was a lot of cash in the system, but inflation is still here. You often argue that the business community already has it factored in. Are they still factoring it in?
I'm not sure you mean by factoring in, but let me give you an example from just yesterday.
Bake it into pricing, bake it into methodologies, bake it into future expansion, growth, reduction of workforce, et cetera.
Then the answer is they have included it, but not completely. Not completely. Just yesterday, I gave a speech to a group, and this group, there was a business owner, and she's told me that she has paid more than 20% increase since April for stuff she imports. She imports a lot of stuff from Canada and the European Union. And she said 20% more, but she has not passed that cost along. She's taken the financial hit. So the inflation is not disappeared. We saw it in the PMI report last month. We saw that, again, that number was 21% inflation to wholesalers and manufacturers that have not been passed along to you and I. There is inflation in the system, and it's hitting businesses very hard. Now, how are they reacting? They're laying people off. They're getting rid of employees. UPS, a huge 48,000 employees laid off. 34,000 were in operations. 14,000 were in management. We've seen this at Amazon, Microsoft. It's ridiculous. Yet the market's going up because of AI. Let's not forget it.
And the only reason the market's going up is because of AI. The Amazon conversation. So I saw it written two ways. Maybe you actually have the better analysis here. The Wall Street Journal said it was 30,000 corporate jobs. In other places, I saw 14,000. So I didn't know if 14,000 was like a step-by-step kind of thing. It was like how they were going to step up to 30,000, whether the 30,000 number was right or wrong. What say you?
30,000 is a combination of operations. Well, they're mostly an operations entity, but they do both operations and management. It's both. Just like we saw with UPS, about two-thirds of it was operations, one-third of it was management. Amazon's about the same, probably about two-thirds operations, one-third management. But they're not cutting necessarily because their business is getting worse. The economy is growing at 3.8%. They're cutting because they don't need the workers, because they're automating. They're using AI to improve their operations. I got to talk about it. If you want me to not get into it, I won't. But Meta yesterday announced a 26% increase in revenue. At the same time, they announced $70 billion of CapEx expenditures. Microsoft did the same thing. Microsoft, let me focus on Microsoft here. Their quarterly revenue was up 17%. That's a pretty big increase. At the same time, they announced $80 billion of capital expenditures on AI, and they announced 9,000 people being laid off. They laid off 6,000 earlier this year. So Microsoft, revenue up, AI spending up, firing employees. I think that's the great transition. That is my buzz phrase I want to coin. The great transition, like we saw way back when Henry Ford developed the mass production line for cars. We're in a great transition. Hold on, it's going to be a roller coaster.
But the transition, talking to Dr. Matt Will, economist at the University of Indianapolis, the transition is to not even so much the proof of the utilization of AI, but rather the investment in the hope that AI will be able to be something that we use. So what transition are you referring to when you say the words?
I don't agree with the statement that the hope, because Meta reported a 26% year-over-year increase in revenue. Microsoft reported a 17% quarterly revenue increase. This is not the future. This is revenue generation now. And that's why the market's going up. We are actually seeing the actual revenue benefit from these AI investments. But it comes at a big cost, which is we are losing employees. So for the first 2 quarters of this year, the USA lost 744,000 jobs. Right. But the tech sector grew 76,000 jobs. That's a 27% increase for the tech sector. It's a transition from labor, even in management, to AI. So you need to learn AI, you need to learn tech, because that's going to be the next job. Guess what? Horse and buggies aren't here. People putting shoes on horses are gone. We replaced it with cars. It's happening again.
And there's going to now be, because people are now just seeing it for the first time. Of course, people who engage in the futurist game have been having this discussion. How do you protect American jobs then? Should you be protecting American jobs then? Is it the job of government to protect American jobs? And if someone asks Donald Trump a 10% tariff because you don't like how Canada put out a video, job protection is job one. Remember, I'm a conservative and President Trump is not. It's a difference between us. It's not an anger. He wants to protect those jobs. Vice President J.D. Vance has been very, very clear on these subjects. So how does the White House now engage a stock market that they want to go up, but is therefore hurting them overall because look at the Americans who don't have jobs anymore?
Okay, well, you asked a lot there, but the core of your first question was, how do you protect jobs? Let me tell you the way you don't do it. You don't do it through tariffs. You don't protect bad companies like Intel. You don't protect bad companies like Whirlpool. You let the competition eat them alive, and then whoever replaces them will be better. Remember, Intel is not the only semiconductor company in the United States. 6 of the 7 top ones are in the United States. Other than Taiwan Semiconductor, they're all right here. So it's okay if Intel disappears and they're replaced by NVIDIA or AMD or Micron or Broadcom. Good for those companies. Now, the second part of the answer is, where do the new jobs come from? I know this is hard for people to accept, but you have to get rid of the old jobs that are lower skill and replace them with the tech job, the AI. Those jobs are existing. They're growing. Again, I'll use the example I use all the time. We had this discussion in the 1900s when the car came around. And people say, oh, we can't lose all these jobs in the transportation and horse and buggy industry. That's not a joke. That's actually what was said. And then that new industry exploded and has been the biggest employer we've seen in the last 100 years. Tech will be the same. Now, it's difficult. Tony, this is difficult. We're going to need to retrain people. Now, that's a different discussion. Does a government do it? Do charities do it? Is it a local community function? But we need to help transition workers from old skills to new skills. It's vital.
Talking to Dr. Matt Will, economist at the University of Indianapolis. Any slowing on this AI train? Anybody saying maybe we've invested enough, now let's see further results? You share the results from Microsoft and Amazon. Show me 3/4 of that, and then you'll see me actually say, okay, maybe there really is something here. But is there anybody saying or any feeling in the market that it's, you know what, we've invested a lot of money here, let's see what this money created?
Yes. I've heard this, and am I allowed to mention a TV network that does business?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so CNBC.
I can't believe you mentioned them.
Oh, I saw that coming. CNBC, I've seen this over the last week. People who went on TV saying, I was against this, wait and see the results, I was wrong. I can't tell you how many people I've seen say exactly the words you just repeated and then come out and say, guess what? I was wrong. It's legit. The growth in AI is more. The CapEx is more than we ever anticipated. The results, Meta, Microsoft, Amazon, we're seeing the results. So it's legitimate. It's there. People are skeptical, but the skeptics are coming around because the proof is in the pudding and it's there. The skeptics are coming around.
Dr. Matt Will, economist at the University of Indianapolis. I appreciate you taking the time to be with us. More to get to. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. What the? Better. Tony Katz today. Guys, glad you're here. Good to be with you. So there's this redistricting fight going on where I live in Indiana, and now Maryland is going to redistrict and get rid of Republican seats, and then North Carolina redistricted, and California wants to because Texas did, and there's a lot of back and forth going on and disagreements, and whether or not this is good governance. And the answer is I can appreciate that argument. I can also appreciate the fight, and anything that is a political process to which people can go about persuading people, win elections, and make changes, I'm all in favor of. A change doesn't mean it's going to be that way for forever. And nor do I think anything is so detrimental that it's not recoverable when it is indeed a political process. So I have no problem with the redistricting. Well, there's here in Indiana, there are some state senators still on the fence, and one of these state senators is in the Terre Haute area, which is southwest, and they're having a listening session. His name is Greg Good. I don't know him, right? Senator Good. I don't know if it's Good or it's Good. Goode. Maybe let's call it Good. And he's going to have a listening session on redistricting. And I said, all right, I'm going. What do you have to say? That's a few hours away, but you know, I'll drive. It's groovy. And I'll go. And now the senator has put out, only residents of my district can participate. Now, the truth is, I don't think he's wrong. It's the people you represent. We'll hear from them. And so somebody asked me, am I still going? I'm like, yeah, I'll just bring a coat and cigars. But like, it's a chance to talk to people and interview people and hear what they have to say. Yeah, I think you go. I think you absolutely go, and you hear from people, and you kind of get an idea of what's happening. Now, I don't need to hear from angry leftists who are very fine with Maryland redistricting to get rid of Republican seats. I will hear from people from people of Indiana, where I live, about what they think the state senate should be doing. And one of the conversations is going to be, they shouldn't be doing this. They should be focused on property taxes. I don't believe it's one or the other. I believe this subject exists as this subject exists. Also, I need to locally take a deeper look at this. I want to get rid of all property taxes. And when I get confronted with, well, how do you pay for this? How do you pay for this? The property tax is the most reliable system, easiest system. No. It must be removed. And then you can engage other taxes and people can choose a level of spending. Well, you can't guarantee as much income. That's okay. We're saying that the systems that we have to be the systems that we have. And I don't believe in that argument. I believe in the running fast and breaking things model sometimes. When it doesn't work and education doesn't work, why shouldn't we change it? Why shouldn't we? In the most non-surprising story ever, the former conservative Bill Kristol, who was broken by Donald Trump and has lost his ever-loving mind, I guess the days of cruises are over, has decided that he would vote and will vote for Zohran Mamdani in New York. We're done. And scene, as the kids would say. Tony Katz today. And then there was a photo, someone actually asked me about it, where Mandy Patinkin, who is Jewish, is voting for Mamdani. And then there's these rabbis supporting Mamdani, and listen to me very carefully. You can't get me to make sense of it from a religious perspective. Just because I'm Jewish doesn't mean I can make sense of these people. You know, this goes to the age-old question, why are Jews liberals, which is a really deep theory. I do know that when you hate Trump more than you love yourself, bad things will happen. You can still not like Trump but not vote for the communist. But not New York. You're going to watch it happen. Bad things are ahead. And the problem is it can come to a city near you. This is Tony Katz today. It's because we went so long with Dr. Will, but I don't apologize for that. In the slightest. Not apologizing for that. So yeah, I am still going. Hold on a second. Let me Great grandpa buys a house 75 years ago for $6,000. Today it's valued at $200 and taxes are $6,000 a year. Well, so in terms of what the taxes are, it's a question of, well, what do you think they should be? 0? Because I believe in getting rid of the property tax. But I do agree with the idea that the things that property tax funds, which allows the city to provide services, well, it needs to happen. How else do you do it? I believe there are other ways to do it, and I don't believe the property tax is of any value. The property tax is the state holding a gun to the head of the homeowner. And I just don't buy into it. I don't believe it. But what number would be better? 2,000? Oh, yes, 2,000 is better than 6,000. But would 4,500 be better? How about 5,800? The formulation for the number is something we always argue about. In the case of property taxes, I'm discussing the very concept. I oppose the concept of property taxes. It's saying I don't own what I own. And I just can't abide such a thing. Guys, I appreciate you being here. The show continues at WIBC.com. That's where you can hear it. We live stream every Monday through Friday from noon to 2. That's how we roll. And I appreciate you guys being here so very much. Can't thank you enough. I'm back tomorrow, and good times will be had. And I'm often asked, Tony, will snacks be provided? No, they won't. Appreciate you guys. Halloween tomorrow. Good stuff. Catch you then. Take care.